Good afternoon, my fans all over the world. Good evening, good morning, depending on where you're watching me from. Again, I'm here today in another video. My name is Dr. Man, a men's advocate, continuing the men's advocacy program in a men's advocate TV channel. Today I received a story from one of my fans. His story was about his children. According to him, he said, "My children does not listen to me." My children does not listen to me. That's what he told me. When I asked him to explain what he means by his children does not listen to him, he explained to me in detail that how, like, when you're trying to groom your children, especially in the Western world, they tend not to follow the parents' instructions or obey the parents or listen to advices from their parents, because the society or the Western world teaches them something different from what their parents, especially parents from Africa or parents from other parts of the world, teach their children. Parents from India, China, Korea, and maybe in the Middle East, their own system a little bit different from the Western world. So, he said, "My children does not listen to me. What can I do? Let your fans tell me what I should do, how I can do it to bring up my children in a proper way." So my understanding from his explanations is that I also experienced certain things, similar situation, because I also have children. Sometimes when children in the Western world, when they go to school, what they're being taught in school is different from the way their parents, want to bring them up. For example, disciplinary measures. A parent or parents may try to apply some type of disciplinary measures based on their own understanding of life and how they grew up and where they grew up from. But where they live in the Western world, especially where those children are now, were born, is completely different from what their parents know, or what their parents, the practice that their parents, uses to raise them up. So according to him, he explained to me that he's a man, he come from a different part of the world that is not in the Western world, and where they came from, they can discipline their parents by talking to them, sometimes by using other disciplinary measures. But despite any kind of disciplinary measures he used, the children does not listen. And when he tried to use harsh measures to get them to listen, to obey instructions, his children would threaten him that they will call police on him and get him arrested. And, that is what they teach children in the Western world. Like when they go to school, they'll be asking them, does your parents flog you, or do they beat you, or do they touch you, or do they abuse you verbally, do they talk harsh to you? They teach the children to call the police on their parents. Actually, I've read some stories where children called the police on their parents, and their parents were arrested. And the same children were taken away from their parents, and those children were crying that they want to go back to their parents, So it is, in some cases, conflict of means and ways of raising the children. So in this case, one of my fans that sent this story, he's asking for what to do. For all my fans to advise him on what to do when your children does not listen to you, does not obey you, does not carry out your instructions, and you're in the Western world, and there are certain measures of there are certain disciplinary measures you cannot use on them, such as flogging the children, or how else do they say it, like beating them or flogging them or whatever you can call it. We can apply that in the Western world. You can't smack them, you can't slap them, you can't do so many things, you can't touch them physically. Otherwise, if those children report you, you'll be accused, you'll be arrested and charged for what they call domestic physical violence or child abuse. If the children are still minor children, it will be charged for domestic child abuse. Yours truly went through similar situation, but my own is different, so than his own story. His own story was that his children always threaten him that they will call the police if he touches them. So because of that, he's trying to avoid touching them. But when he just talk to them ordinarily, they will not listen. And sometimes they will tell him that they have the right to do what they're doing. That especially one day, one of his children have refused to go to school, and he tried to force him to go to school. The child have actually told him that he has the right. He has the right to go to school, or the right not to go to school. That it is all his right that he has the right to do whatever he wants to do. In my own case, I've also experienced asking my child, why did you choose such a course in school? Why did you choose such a course? What are you going to use that course to do? Trying to guide him and selecting course. He told me that he has the right to choose any course he wants to choose. And this was a minor child telling the father that he has right to choose any course he wants to choose. Basically. And you are the father, you are taking care of him, you are paying the school fees, and you are doing everything, and the child is still telling you that he has right to do what he wants to do. You can imagine a child doing this in some countries like Africa. The father will smack the heck out of the child, if you tell your father that you have the right to do whatever you want to do. But in the Western world, the children and women enjoy all this rights, enjoy all this, we can call it in quote freedom, which actually are not freedom, because eventually, when they grow up, especially if they mess up, if they are children that didn't eventually train themselves properly, they will be messed up. Their life will be messed up, and they will start regretting the actions and the life they lived. And also some women too, who mislead their children, who especially who allows their children to do whatever they want. Most women in the Western world do that, just to spite their husbands, or especially if they're having issues. Yours truly experienced the same thing, where I was told, you can't do that to them. You're in the Western world, you can't train them the way you train them where you come from, something like that, So, some men go through all this, so this is what our brother is going through, and he wants you guys to advise him on what to do. So please subscribe to my channel, like my video, share my video, so it can go wider to many men out there, and also some good women out there can go to a wider audience. Our brother would like to know what he should do. What are the things he can do to make the children listen to him, because his interest is to make sure that his children lives in an upright life, not necessarily the way they're being brought up in the Western world, where the children are advised to call the police for their father if their father does certain things, including harsh words. They teach the children, if your father talk to you harshly, you accuse him of verbal abuse and call the police on him, because or on your parents. That also includes both parents. Children have a right to charge their parents for verbal abuse. So you can imagine a child in Africa accusing the parents of verbal abuse. So, but that's what people obtain in the Western world, and that's their way of life, their laws, and their norms and tradition and culture. But this situation, some of our men, who live in the Western world go through all this, a lot of big conflict in how to raise your child. And also most of times your children not listening to you because they are being raised by the system and the society in a different way. Which makes some of our men, some of our parents, they take, if they are not from the Western world, they take their children to where they come, wherever they came from, and for them to stay there for some years and get the proper upbringing, proper trainings that those areas, give their children, or how their children grow up in that area. But for the scope of this program, let's take the Western world, where our brother or my fan, where he lives, and the problem he's going through. You can also remember that this kind of problem can also devastate a man when you have children that can't listen to him, that are not living the way he wants to bring them up. And not that he's treating them bad, but he wants them to grow up in a certain way, good way that he would like them to grow, just like his own parents brought him up in the right way, so that they can be doing things upright. So please advise him on what to do, so that other men out there and other good women out there can also listen and learn how they can raise their children, how they can discipline their children, what possible ways they can discipline their children, bridging the gap between the Western ways and the other areas, other aspects, like African ways of raising children, as opposed to Western ways of raising children. So so we will all learn. We can all learn, and especially those upcoming parents, maybe new parents that yet to have their children, or also parents that currently have children but finding it difficult raising their children. I will appreciate your comments. Please subscribe, like, share my videos, comment, and provide your own opinions and your advice to our brother. And let him learn and let other people learn. So from me, from here, I would say good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, wherever you're watching from. And see you in my next video.